if you're a student that is actually studying very hard but still getting very bad grades, this might be the thing that you are actually focusing wrong. So we're going to dive in right now. The number one thing that top students actually do differently that I've found from a top 10% of my medicine cohort and also the top 10% of pharmacy cohort that I've been in before, what are these students doing differently? So the number one thing that they actually focus on is really knowing the difference between understanding their concepts versus understanding or memorizing their facts. So the number one thing when they actually come and learn something is they don't start writing notes, they don't start really kind of trying to commit things to memory blindly and just trying to rote learn everything. The number one thing that they actually do is to focus on understanding concepts, meaning they're able to digest that concept and really just spit it out in their own words, in simple plain words that even a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old or a 15-year-old can understand very well as well. Once they're able to pass this, what I call the 5, 10, 15 test, this is how they know that they understand this concept fully. Because if you're able to explain something really complex into really simple words, this is really the crux of how you can know that you're understanding things very well. So this is really one of the tests that I really implore you to try and do as often as possible to make sure that you have understood this concept before you go and commit even more details and more facts to fill in this concept with everything that you need to know for the exam. So let's just take an example. For example, food digestion. So this is a really big concept in biology, for example. If you are the person that is actually doing well and actually want to understand the concept first, you won't be doing the following. So if a student that is struggling to do well, this is what they're going to do. So this is the definition that they need to understand. Digestion is the breakdown of large insoluble food molecules into small water-soluble food molecules so that they can be absorbed into the watery blood plasma. So this is what students that actually struggle to do well in exams, this is an example of what they will do. They'll continue writing this out. Digestion is the breakdown of large insoluble food molecules into small food molecules, and they'll write it down maybe 10 times until they beat their brain into submission, that they can just kind of remember the words and where they appear on the page. But what really happens when it comes to maybe a week, 2 weeks down the track, or even a day after you've learned this concept? Because as you rote learn things, this is what happens when time kind of slowly passes by. This is what happens. Some of these words slowly dissolve out of your memory. Digestion, you might remember digestion. Some of these filler words you're gonna forget. Insoluble, you're gonna forget. So some large molecules, and maybe you've got food molecules. So these are all gonna be gone, and absorbed into the watery plasma. So this is gonna be gone as well. So what you're gonna be left with is digestion and large molecules and small molecules. So when the exam actually asks you, as maybe a multi-choice question, does your body digest food from large molecule into small molecules? Or they might ask you, does your body actually digest small molecules into large molecules? You really wouldn't know whether this is the answer or not, because you've got all these keywords and it's all floating around in your head. You're like, okay, there's small molecule, there's large molecule, and digestion and food molecules. And you would never be able to explain this. You would never be able to know for sure whether this is the correct answer, because you've never understood the process of digestion in your mind being, okay, it's just bigger parts, bigger chains of things that are broken down into smaller parts of things so the body can use it later. That is really how you explain digestion in a very key, simple word. And people who start to rote learn, this is where their systematic error of learning comes. When the exam time comes, when exam asks them these things with all the keywords in it, and they remember certain parts of these keywords, this is how things can go wrong. And this is where I implore you to use the 5, 10, 15 rule to start understanding concepts number one first before you try to commit all these small details in the memory into your memory. So this should be really the number one focus if you really want to achieve really good grades as well and understand this very well for use in future. So I hope this mini lesson has been useful for you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.